Well, hey there, book lovers and
Hey,
screen addicts. How are we today?
good. We're good. I'm Stacy. I'm
And
here with
I,
my literary partner in crime, Renee. It's been a minute. It's
it's
been a
been a
minute.
minute. It's
It's been
been a
a couple of
minute.
weeks. We had
So
some.
welcome to
Yes,
page to screen and in between. Here we
yes, and
are, ready to get going. We have a great discussion today. I cannot wait.
I
This
know.
was a Stacy pick. I have to say, I don't know that I would have ever read the book or watched the movie. I missed it when it came out in the 90s. So this has been a really interesting introduction for me into a whole different culture. So I can't wait to get started and
I know.
talk about it. But first, we have we call it the fascination segment.
Yeah,
I think
obsessed.
originally we were going to call it What Are We Obsessed With? But
Yeah,
we decided, no, that's a little too serial killer.
yeah,
So
yeah,
we don't want to
yeah.
go
So
that way.
we're just fascinated with things. We're not obsessed with things. They're not taking over our lives, but
Exactly.
we do get fascinated by different things. And so always, like I'm always looking, I'm always like going, huh, maybe I'll talk about that.
I have a
So
long list and I keep going, and something always kind of takes the top and then moves everything down.
yeah.
So today I want to talk about, and this is weird how it's all sort of gelled all at once.
Okay.
10 years ago, you would not have caught me watching an NFL football game other than the Super Bowl and really going in and watching the commercials for the NFL.
Mm-hmm,
I was
hmm.
college football all the way. Now I have flipped. College football is broken.
It's
It is
broken.
broken.
I
There's no
agree.
other word for it. And we don't have any reason. We never have been players. We're not players. But I recalling a time, Stacy, when you and I remember that coffee shop in Lincoln, Nebraska called New Vibe, and we went for coffee
Yeah.
one afternoon or early evening, and we spent the whole time talking about the new coach for Nebraska football and who it
Okay.
was going to be. It was right after they had fired Frank Solich.
Oh,
No,
right. And who
and
were they
then
going
they had brought Bill Callahan in, and he had just absolutely driven that program into the ground. And they were bringing in Bo Pelini,
to?
and we had opinions. We had
Yes.
so many opinions, and we were just yum about it. And I remember you saying to me, "Only in a college football town do you see women sitting in a coffee shop
Right.
talking football." Yeah, and that was
Well,
what we
only
did.
really in Nebraska. I
Yeah,
am telling you, I was in Missouri. I've been in, women don't care about college football unless their sons are playing it.
right.
Like they don't care about it.
Or their
In
daughters cheering.
Nebraska, we care about it. Everybody, because it's
Yes,
a professional team. If we don't have any
right.
professional teams to care about, like you said, the Packers and you've got those professional teams. We don't have a professional team to really care about in Nebraska. So the Huskers, and now more than ever, is the professional team because all these kids are getting paid to play
It's
football.
just, yes. And just the way with the portal, how there's no loyalty to the team.
None.
And I would say the worst part about the portal and the changes is that every kid is going to college with the dream of becoming an NFL player.
Right.
And back in the day, and I'm not talking a long time ago, what is it? 2% make it to the pros, and even
Maybe.
less, maybe, and even a fewer number than that actually become pro football players,
Right. Right.
like long term.
Yes.
And now they all think that this is their chance. This is their stepping stone. It's like the minor leagues for baseball. And they don't care about the education. They're not there to get an education. They're not there to say, well, I've got 1% to 2% chance to be a successful pro player. Let me utilize the scholarship to get some education and to have a future down the road in whatever it is I decide to do. They don't do that anymore. And that
No.
was
No,
because
and they're
there's no
wanting the
reason to.
NIL, those other things.
Right.
They're going for that. They're going for the money. It's
Right.
become very,
And if
very
they don't
clean.
get to play, whether they're ready or not, they just switch schools to the promise that they will be. I think about, Brock Purdy, who he was Iowa State. He was Mr. Irrelevant about 4 years ago, which is the final pick for the NFL. He's
Okay.
now at San Francisco and has become one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. and he has taken San Francisco to the playoffs. And everything about him on paper was that he would never even play, and he was the very last pick. So
Yeah.
he became Mr. Irrelevant. Well, he has a younger brother who wanted to take that same route, but at every school he has been not put in as the quarterback because, oh, let me tell you, not ready. And
Right.
he doesn't want to hear that. So he keeps transferring schools. I think he's been to 3 or 4 schools. And this is what
When you
happens
start
how
over like that, you're
kids.
never going to be ready.
You're not getting educated. And Tom Brady even just recently talked about how, thank goodness they didn't have that opportunity when he was back in the game, because he learned how to fail. He learned how to work hard to get
Yes.
where he wanted. He was a nobody. Nobody even knew who he was. He was a
Yeah.
backup quarterback, and
Right.
he paid his dues and became who he is today. And we're losing that. And I see that in publishing as well. And then we can get started with our
Okay.
story with the independent publishing. Back when I started publishing, there was one route, traditional publishing, and there
Yes.
were gatekeepers. You had to get better and better and better. And you weren't competing with other unpublished authors. You were competing with published authors for their slots.
Right.
And now, if you get a bad rejection, you don't get it, you can go put out your groceries list and become a published author independently. And I feel
Well,
like
and
we're
that's
losing.
so hard for me to be able to pick a book to read, right? Because I'm like,
Exactly.
so what if it's a book that's out here?
For
Did they
99
just publish
cents.
it themselves and put it out there, and then it's just a crap book that I've wasted my time on, and I can
And
usually tell
money.
within, I usually get the sample if I do Kindle. I
Hmm.
get the sample because I can usually tell from a sample, but you're right. It's the same thing. It's like they
Why
just did
be
it
good? Why be good?
good
You
when you
can
can just,
take a different route. You can
yeah.
realize your dream, but are you really? And you're not forcing yourself to get better. I think we used to laugh about it. I had 187 rejections before I sold my first book.
Oh my
And
gosh.
every one of those rejections taught me something. And at one point I was like, this is nuts. Am I going to ever get published? And I took all the rejection letters and I put them in piles and looked at it. And there were 3 areas I needed to work on because there was consistency. And
Okay.
I got to see where
Yeah.
my
That
weaknesses were.
feedback.
Oh, and better yet, where my strengths were. And
Right.
so I learned and I became I just gobbled up. I became what I would call a craft junkie. And I
Yeah.
learned the craft of writing. You don't
That's
have to learn that anymore.
no. You can just
And
write
same with
something and
football. They don't have to be students of the game. They just have to find someone that'll let them play.
yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
anyway, college football is broken. I am fascinated with NFL. It's cleaner. These guys are the best of the best. They're not perfect, so there's always a chance that they're going to win or lose the game, but it's just cleaner. It's easier to support. I'm a Packer fan. We go years and years and years with players that are on the team,
Uh-huh.
and it's better. And
Yeah.
so now I am a NFL fan. I watched NFL all weekend. Last night I got home from work and watched the Eagles, who they play Chargers game, went
They
into
were, yeah, who
overtime.
won? I was watching it a little bit I was at a brewery and watching a little bit, but
It went into overtime
oh,
and the Chargers won. And I'm
wow.
a Jalen Hurts fan. So,
I
I
know.
have my
I love
band.
him.
I have
Yeah.
my, yeah. Anyway, so that was tough. But, so that's the end of my little rant about I love NFL football now, and I'm very disappointed in college and probably won't continue. I will continue to get more disappointed as it goes on unless they change the model.
Yeah.
So,
That is fascinating. It is
yeah.
fascinating. And I try not to put emotion in it because my husband and my son are very emotional. They say that Nebraska football is a very abusive lover. Like, why do we put ourselves through this abuse?
Why?
She has abused us for years, and we just keep coming back for it with the hope that she's not going to abuse us
Florida
again.
State. I'm a Seminole fan. Florida State. I tell you what, they just break your heart
Yes,
every
every
stinking
year.
year.
Our
Every
hearts are broken.
year.
And I was laughing because he was, my son was here, and we were on vacation with him during the Iowa game, and I mean they were just both like, we're just so tired of being abused by that. It's like, I'm
Those
sorry.
damn Huskers. Oh,
I
I'm just like
know. They're just
flipping.
yeah.
I get about halfway through the game, like flipping Knowles. Turn it
I
off. Turn it off.
know. Like, just forget it. I'll just go
Forget
read
it.
my book. I'll read my book and listen to them yell in
I
the
do the same
fun.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, speaking of reading our books, we have a
Okay.
new book this
Yes.
week. And do you want to tell our listeners and viewers what the book was?
Yeah, it was the Joy Luck Club.
Oh,
Yes. Book
oh,
by Amy Tan. You have
I
it.
has thoughts. I has
You had thoughts.
thoughts.
Yes.
Mhm.
One of the things that I read, so Amy Tan, I always go and kind of, I loved the not the prologue, the introduction in the book,
Yep.
because she talks about, it's a fictional book. It's
Mhm.
not a memoir,
She
but
made it
people
up.
thought it was. So she's had fans like say, "Oh, the same way you got a divorce, I got a divorce." She goes, "I've been married to the same man for 43 years, or whatever." Like she did, or some years. I don't know if it was 43, but because she wrote the book. I
Sounds
mean,
good.
it's back at well, I mean, it's back in the 80s. I mean, so she's
Mhm.
been married quite a while, but she just said it's just so funny. They think, and she goes, "My mother's still alive." And so she's like, they think that each character is somehow her.
A
And
piece of her.
and
Yeah.
she goes, and it's not. I just, knew of people and just wrote it with that. But the characters, this is definitely one of the most character driven books that it's 8 characters and driven. All the stories are driven, by the characters and their stories. And I love stories within
Well,
stories.
and one of the things that I think you and I talked about, because I did the typical read the book first, and I
Okay.
had missed the movie. Somehow I'd missed the movie in the 90s. And I
Yeah.
don't know how, because Andrew McCarthy, while he has a small role, is in it. And I used to, every movie he was in, I
Yeah.
would watch.
I love
So
Andy McCarthy.
somehow I missed this one. I knew about it. So I
Uh-huh.
decided I'm going to read the book first. And so I read the book, and I was slightly confused
Yeah.
at first.
It's
I,
hard.
I did a lot of flipping back and forth. And I went and looked, and there are 16 interwoven stories
Yep.
because it's in 4 sections, and we get the young Chinese women's stories, and then we get the older Chinese women's stories, and we get the young American child, growing up as an American Chinese, a Chinese American, and then we get that final version where they're all grown up and intermingling.
Yes.
And it while it was somewhat chronological, it was not as the narrative structure wasn't quite as easy to follow. I
Yeah.
think nowadays in books will tell you, Rose 1984, or we'll
Right.
do, yeah,
Right. Gives the timeline a little bit better.
right.
It's
So
a little more linear.
you're not playing catch up the first couple of pages.
Yeah.
You already know, okay, this is, and while I know that's spoon feeding,
Yeah.
but at the same time, why give a reader a reason to put the book down or flip back and forth or get confused? And it's just we just tell stories a little differently now.
Yeah.
So there was a slight confusion, but because I read it all and then I saw the movie, I feel like I was all prepared. And let's face it, the book gives backstories on such a level that you do not get in the movie.
Right.
And
And
and so
added stories. They give added, there's a couple of added stories that aren't even in the
in
movie.
the movie, right? They just kind
And
of got cut,
yeah,
right?
and so you're
Right.
you're kind of doing it, but it
So I feel
within the
like
book. Yeah, go ahead.
so I feel like the overall message, because I always like to say walk away. And while I think theme is a dirty word, I will say
Why do you think that? What is that? Tell me more. Why do you think
I
theme is a dirty word?
I think theme is a dirty word because our English teachers back in the day wanted us to figure out the theme of a book. And
Okay.
most of us cannot do that. So we're confused about what theme is. Really, what theme is in most books, especially books now, are what are we trying to learn from these characters? Really,
Okay.
it's what lesson does the author want you to take away from this? So I
Okay.
feel like there are somewhat 2 themes. The mothers have a theme. The Chinese mother's theme is, I wish for you to know where you come from. And I feel
Okay.
like that's the theme of the mothers. The whole storytelling, especially in the book, is where did these women come from? How did they get to San Francisco? What was their story to get them there? And
Yeah.
the mothers just are trying to get the daughters to understand you are Chinese. This is what that means. And
Yeah.
the daughters, their theme, and this is through all the thread of the daughter's story, is I wish for you to see who I am. And the mothers don't see it. The mothers are so busy. And that's where your conflict is in this whole book.
Yeah.
Mothers are trying to say, this is who
Be
you are,
this.
and this is
Be
this is
this.
be this. This is where you come from.
Yeah.
This is who you are. Do not lose this. Do not understand my sacrifice.
Yeah.
Understand what I did to get you here. And the daughters are, I'm not Chinese. I'm an American. I am an independent woman. See me for who I am. Stop making me who you want me to be.
Yeah.
And while I think that is true of all mothers and daughters, because of the traditions and the culture and the immigration piece, it's much stronger and much more the conflict between these
Yeah.
women.
Yeah.
And I would say that's true of both, mostly in the book, I feel, because there's just time to do it, to tell
Yeah.
the
The
story.
book explains a little bit more. I mean, like in the
Mhm.
movie, I feel like it just said, and then I came to America years later.
Right.
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 The
And
book does explain
yes,
some of those journeys a little bit more intently,
right.
how they, how they met their existing husbands, having their daughters, all that kind of
Well,
stuff. Go ahead.
right, because the mothers grew up in these traditional homes, very family centered. We talked a little
Mhm.
bit about this last week.
Yeah.
Very culture based, honor bound Chinese culture. Women had a role. You have a role in this world, you have a role in your family, and this is who you are. And then the American culture is very much more independent. And this was set in the 80s when American women we were getting jobs, we were going into the
Yeah.
workforce. We
Yeah.
weren't immediately getting married and having children.
Right.
We were on the backs of the women's lib movement, if you will,
Right.
women's
Right.
liberation movement. We came in on the backs of that. And while we suffered sexual harassment and we suffered harassment, we were going to do it. We were
Yeah.
getting educated. We were independent. We were the ones that were blazing the trails for the women behind us who didn't even have to think about whether you were going to become a wife, mother, or a career woman.
Right.
We were the ones that were saying, well, why can't we be at all? Or if we choose to do one route or the other,
No
that's
judgment.
okay as well. No
Right.
judgment.
Right. Right.
Whatever you choose, you have the choice. And the Chinese women are saying, no, you don't. If you choose some of these routes you choose, you are denying who you are at the core.
Right. I found it very interesting. I think there was one thing that these women, the moms, were taught to be quiet, to be
Yes.
still until they were mothers. And then the opinion floodgates opened, which was really interesting because, through their whole upbringing, they're taught to be quiet, 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 keep your opinions to yourself. And that's and yet then
they're so opinionated. That
they're
is
so
such,
opinionated that they want to teach their kids to not be opinionated.
that's
And
such
not,
a good point.
and I
Yeah.
was like, well, I mean, so their daughters just became opinionated first. And then I feel like as the time went on and they started to understand their mother's stories a little bit more,
Mhm.
they quieted. I wouldn't say
Right.
they were quiet, but they quieted their
There
opinions
was a
of their mother.
piece, I think there was a piece in the movie and the book, because it was also in the book, that I think speaks to what you're talking about. And who was the piano player? Was that
That was June.
June?
Yeah.
Okay, June. So it was June's thread. And June decides she doesn't want to play and she just refuses to play anymore because she had not been practicing. And then she's embarrassed and her mother is horrified
Right.
because she's best friends with Waverly's mother.
Yeah.
And Waverly is this chess, she's a prodigy.
Yeah.
And
I love
she
when
is,
she's walking through town with the Life magazine.
yeah, this is my daughter. Yeah, this is my daughter. And she did that in the book as well. So both of those came up. So you've got that competition between the two Chinese women and the
Yep.
daughters on. And June is saying to her mother, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. Why can't you just let me be who I am? And her mother says to the effect, there are only two daughters in our home. You're either an obedient daughter or not a daughter. You will be an obedient daughter. There's no option. And that's very Chinese. And
Yeah.
the daughter is
Yeah.
like, I choose neither. I
Yeah.
don't want to be either. And she's like, then you're not my daughter. And that was in
Mm.
both the book and the movie.
So
And they
sad.
really had such conflict through the rest of their
Yeah.
lives.
Yeah.
Until
And
eventually
that's why I
one of them
think
died.
I cried, even when I was reading the book, even like June's regret.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not blaming June completely, right? I mean,
Right.
her mother had a role in that, but losing her mother so suddenly, the way she did, and then that regret of, why didn't I should have listened to her more. I should have, been a more obedient daughter.
She was very willful. And as you and I have both raised very willful daughters,
Yeah.
that is a hard daughter to parent.
Yeah.
And,
Because you want
and
to
I
give
thought a
them
lot of my
wisdom.
daughter.
Yeah. You want to give them wisdom.
Mhm.
You want them to, and I think I'm that daughter as well for my
Uh-huh.
mother. Like you want to pass on the wisdom, but you want them to be independent too. We do,
Mhm.
and the
Mhm.
balance of that is very difficult, because if they take your wisdom, does that make them feel like they aren't independent? And I don't think so. I think I can take my mother's wisdom and still
Mhm.
be independent and still have my own brain. But for some reason, the balance is really hard to accept.
Well,
The
and
way.
I was a very obedient, silent child,
Mm-hmm.
but there was a lot going on in here. And
Right.
the disobedience was there. It was just not spoken and it wasn't lived. But boy, once I was out of that house, I was out of the house. Like there
Yeah.
was no, I
Yeah.
got to go back, because then I finally, once I went to college, got to soar.
Right.
And I never really went home again in terms of emotionally.
Mm.
And so there is something to be said for just spewing it all out as you go. And I
Right.
remember trying very hard to understand my daughter, give her that safe space to be who she was, but also just, why can't you be more obedient? Why
Yeah.
can't you
To
just
protect them,
be
I
silent
think, right? I
just
mean, we
right
want
now?
to
Right.
protect them from things, but
The hard pieces of life that they were going to face. I knew my
yeah.
daughter was going to face a lot of pushback if she didn't figure out how to find a happy medium between being strong and willful and independent. And do you remember it was, and this is very, I think, relevant because we're talking and daughters, because you have to talk mothers and daughters when you read this book, because that's the
Absolutely.
core of this book.
That's the core of the book.
That
Yeah.
is the core of this book.
Yeah.
But I remember that there was I don't know, there was a book where you were either a lion, an otter, a beaver, or a golden
Oh yeah.
retriever.
Yeah, we
Remember
have it.
that book?
It's called the Treasure Tree.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, we
And I
have it. We have
remember
it. We've given it to Hannah wanted it for her daughter.
to
And
understand it,
yeah.
right, to
Mhm.
understand. And I remember reading that and thinking, well, I truly was a lion beaver. Like I am a very strong personality, but I'm a
Yeah.
hard worker.
Yeah.
My daughter is a lion otter. So she was one of those people. And you know this about Hillary, you would agree to this. Let's have fun.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Let's have fun. And because she was a lion and a leader, she would be the one I would never worried about peer pressure. I worried about her putting peer pressure on other people.
Exactly.
It was
Yeah, being the one. Yeah.
be the one. And the thing is that she would be the one to say, hey guys, let's jump off this cliff. Won't it be fun? It's
Yeah.
going to be fun. Let's
Yeah.
jump off the cliff. And they would
Yeah.
all go with her. And so I thought,
She was very
okay, I'm a
influential.
little worried about that. Very influential. But I also thought, with power comes responsibility. And I always knew I had to teach her that. And I
Yeah.
get the sense in this book that, like, Waverly's mother, what was her name? I have them all listed
So
because I
hard.
had to
Yes,
write
it's
them
very
down
hard to keep them
because
straight.
it's so hard to keep them. Okay.
Is it Yin
Waverly,
Yin?
no, it was Lindo.
Oh,
Lindo was
Linda. Okay,
Waverly's
Linda.
daughter. And I feel like Lindo was trying to teach Waverly, because Waverly was the super independent, bougie daughter. She was the one that wanted the house that was so cold. She was the one that took her mom to the beauty salon to get a good American haircut.
Yeah, because she was getting remarried. She was getting
Right, and
remarried.
Waverly was the chess person,
Yeah.
chess aficionado. And I remember thinking with Waverly, her mother was Linda was just trying to tell her, Waverly, you need to tame this down. You are a very strong personality. You have so much to give. Listen to me. Listen, let me warn you.
Mhm.
And Waverly wanted none of it. She wanted none of it. And I
Mhm.
don't feel that she lived a happy adult life because
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
She quit chess out of
Stubbornness.
rebellion.
Yeah,
She was just
rebellion.
being disobedient and
Yeah.
rebellious. And when she wanted to go back, she lost it. And her mom knew she would. Her
Yeah.
mom knew this isn't about me. This is about you.
You can't
And
decide
that's
one day, play one day, not play the next. You can't decide.
and think that you can pick it up again
Yeah.
with that attitude.
Yeah.
And that was kind of June too. June was like, I'm just playing, playing, playing. And June was, I remember in the book, June was at this recital convinced that it was going to
She
come
was
out in her
playing
fingers.
great.
She was
Yeah.
playing great. And it was just embarrassing for
Yeah.
everyone. And her mother really played a smart role where she just was completely silent about it and let June figure it out. But at the end with the crabs, do you remember the piece with the crabs with June and Linda, or June and
Mhm. Her
who
mother.
was
Yeah.
June's mother
Mhm.
was Su Yin was her mother. And
Eating
June's
the
mother,
best
remember
crab
she
and picking the worst crab. Hmm.
and about how that piece was Waverly wants the best. She will always choose the best,
Hmm.
but you have the heart and you will always choose the worst because you have the
Character.
heart, the
Yeah.
character.
Yeah.
And that changed how June went about life. So that
Yeah.
was beautiful.
Yeah.
All right, so
There was
let's
always
talk.
a beautiful, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I didn't
There
mean
was
to cut you
always
off.
a beautiful moment, I feel like, in each of the mother-daughter stories. Like there was like a turning point moment.
Hmm.
June with her mother and the crab thing. Waverly with her mother, like at the beauty salon, and her mother talked. And then Lena with her mother at her house when the vase fell.
And then
Um,
Rose, when her
Rose with her
mother
mother
tells her
about the
mother's
divorce.
story.
Yeah, about the
Yeah.
divorce and how you need to use your voice. And so there was always that one moment
Hmm.
that I feel like it was very pivotal, like that light bulb for the
Hmm.
daughters to go, oh, this is my mother. This is what she's been trying to say all these years. Not necessarily I'm going to follow it blindly, but
Right.
maybe I'm going to look at it with different eyes now.
Right.
So yeah.
Rose, most of all, especially in the movie, I feel like, okay, so they changed Rose a little bit in the movie, her
Yeah,
ending, and we talked about how we loved the way
I
they
do. I like
tweaked
the
it,
ending. Yeah.
how they tweaked it,
Yeah.
where Rose, her mother tells the history of her grandmother. Her grandmother was the fourth wife,
Yeah.
right? Was that?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yes. And she tells Rose the story, and Rose feels as though she is that reincarnated grandmother,
Yeah.
and she is not going to do it anymore. And I thought that when she's just sitting out there in the rain and the husband is ready to divorce her, why haven't you signed the papers? In the book, she signs the papers and says, no, she doesn't sign them either. She says, you'll speak to my lawyer. I want the house.
Right.
And that was kind of the end. She was
Yeah.
like, finally, that was her sticking point. In the movie, she says to him, he's coming and he's standing in the rain, and you could just see him just baffled by her and still in love with her.
Yeah.
And this is the Andrew
Yeah.
McCarthy story. And he even says when they're breaking up, make a choice. Just make a choice. Everything is about me. I need a partner. I don't need an obedient wife. I want
Right.
a
He doesn't
partner.
want that Chinese
And she's not
obedience.
yeah, and she's not hearing him. She's not hearing him. She's not hearing him. And finally, when she's sitting in the rain and she's just like, I'm just this ghost. I and he says, talk to me.
Yeah. He's
And
I'm listening. I'm
I'm
listening.
listening. I'm listening. And and we don't hear the conversation.
Mm-mm.
That one's a beautiful moment where at that party we see them back together, and
Yeah.
he is this loving husband, and they're together now. They're not married, they're together. There's
Right.
a big difference. And there's
Yeah.
this connection that they never had until Rose found who she was. And what a lesson for all of us. Thank you,
Right.
Amy Tan. You cannot be healthy in a relationship until you are healthy within yourself.
Right. Right.
And all those women, the younger women, I feel like the mothers are trying to tell them this. The
Yeah.
mothers are saying,
In
you
their
will
own
not
way.
be happy until, in their own way, until you know where you come from and who you are and who you choose to be. You
Yeah.
cannot be a full person until you understand where you come from. And they all rejected it and the ones that accepted it become fully realized, I guess,
Yeah.
as an adult. So there was one other piece I think you wanted to talk about in this movie.
Well, there's two actually. So one of the
Okay.
pieces, and I haven't talked to you about this, was the physical. There were a lot of lines in the book and the movie where the physical body was used in like a saying to understand the emotional spiritual world. So
Mm-hmm.
like, they have big earlobes, so that means she's a good listener. They'd say something about the brain, her common sense falling out of her head. Like they
Very
just,
Chinese. It was
yes,
very
yes. And I thought
Chinese.
that was really, it's just a really, I loved that piece of it. I marked all of the ones that were like, oh, this is a physical being. And it was always the mothers, of course, using those lines, oh,
The
that
lies
man.
are no longer in his mouth. I want somebody who has no lies in their mouth. And
Yeah. Yeah. And that kind of thing. So I thought that was really interesting, but the Mahjong piece,
okay.
I'm fascinated with it. It's
Okay.
really come back into play in the last 5 years, maybe 4 years. It's really
Very
been,
American culture. The
yeah,
Americans have absolutely
yeah.
hung on. Yes, they have
And
embraced mahjong.
and so when they were playing, there was, I mean, of course, June said, "Well, I've only played Jewish mahjong," and Aunt May was like, "That's not really mahjong. That's nothing," And so I kind of researched the differences. Jewish is Jewish, which is American, because the Jewish women wanted to play something that wasn't bridge
Okay.
in like the 20, so they adopted the mahjong. But there's rules, it's definitely more structured,
And
it's definitely,
competitive.
and
Very
competitive.
competitive.
Then the Chinese mahjong is more of a feeling, a strategy. They said there's a less of a learning curve, but you have to be there. You can't
Okay.
read about it.
Okay.
You can't, like, you can kind of read the American version's rules and kind of get it a little bit. With the Chinese version, it's more of a, you're there. It's the feeling. There's strategy. There's looking, and it's more of like community. It's more relational. That's
Okay.
that's the comments that I got online. And then I have a friend that plays it, and she said that sometimes theirs turns into more competitive, of like who has the better board, who has the
Mm.
better, because there can be like $500 mahjong boards, and one of them has like 4 or 5 of them, and it's like, and then who's serving the better food during this time. And it gets away from the relationship and even the game, because she joined it because she's really competitive, she loves the game. It got away from that because it started to just be talking about their status.
Leave it to American
Yeah.
women to turn
Yeah.
it bougie.
So I
To
told
turn
her,
it
I
bougie.
want to start a white trash version of it, where we just get the cheapest version off of Amazon and serve, cheese whiz and potato chips. I don't know, like just really talk about our lives and talk about and play, but kind of talk about it. But anyway, so
I
we're
love
going to
that.
work on that. But those are some of the things that she just said. It's very fascinating. They play the American version, so she says she doesn't know the Chinese version as well. But yeah, and it's about the actual rules versus relationship. I said rules versus no written rules. There's no written rules in Chinese. The
Okay.
Chinese don't have written rules because they want it to be verbal. They want you to talk to each other to learn the rules.
Well, Crazy Rich Asians
Uh-huh.
is I feel like that is very Mahjong plays even a bigger role in the actual story. I feel
Mhm.
like in the Joy Luck Club,
Right.
Mahjong was what brought the Chinese women into relationship, and their husbands came, and it was one night, and they didn't even start playing until midnight or so. Like
Yeah, it was
there was
crazy.
this, it was a crazy, crazy sort of,
And the money.
and became the Joy Luck Club, right? And then yes, and the
They had
way
all this
that
money.
right, all the money that they ended up investing, which I thought was brilliant.
Yes.
But I feel as though in Crazy Rich Asians, it becomes such a threat. As a matter of fact, the female hero, who really the book is about, and I apologize, I don't remember the names in the book or the movie, but she is a professor who
Okay.
teaches business strategy and uses mahjong as
Mm.
her sort of, this is how you strategically, she uses mahjong as kind of the symbol and example of how to be strategic in business.
Okay.
And she's become this sort of big time professor, but she's an American China. She's never been to China. She's never been to Singapore, or is it, it's not China. What's the island is it that have all the crazy rich Asians? It's
It's not
is it
Okinawa.
Singapore? Is it Singapore? No,
Maybe Singapore. Singapore is supposed
Singapore.
to be really like the yeah, it might be Singapore.
It's like there's more billionaires on the Singapore in that area than in the
Okay.
world. And her boyfriend, she thinks is just a fellow American, but no, he's from Singapore because he has a British accent. So she thinks she doesn't. It's interesting. They get engaged and he wants to take her home, and she discovers he's one of the crazy rich Asians. And the mother just can't stand her because to the mother's mind, she's American. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter that she's Chinese. She's American. She doesn't want him to marry her. And
Uh,
she uses the mahjong to teach the mother why she is worthy, I guess.
worthy of marriage. Yeah.
Because, yeah, worthy and worthy of him and worthy of being her daughter in law.
Interesting.
And because in Singapore, these crazy rich Asians go to these places, like I would call them mahjong clubhouses, and
Hmm.
play all day at the tables. And so this is sort of how the daughter
It's very
proves
intriguing.
herself, proves herself at,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
And
so
so I
intriguing because
was
I
thinking
want to
about
do it. I
that.
want to play it. I want to
I think you
see.
would love, I think you would love it because
Yeah. I want to
you're kind of
see.
becoming fascinated with mahjong because now you are gonna, you have someone who has a weekly group that plays it, and you want to be a
Yeah.
part of that. And then you had remembered, I think part of that was why we did this Joy Luck Club. So should we talk about this or that? I feel like we've been a little bit all over the place. So
Oh, this or that. Yeah. Let's do. Let's
let's do
do.
it.
Mhm.
Which is best?
Mhm.
Okay.
Well,
Screen or page?
screen for me, only because I think that was my original. I
Introduction?
liked the page. It added to the screen. It added some story backing. It added some things, but Amy Tan was the screenwriter. She
Mhm.
with with
So she
Wayne,
basically
Wayne Wang.
did the abridged version of her own book because
Right.
that's
So
really what a
she helped
movie
write
is.
the screenplay. But I loved seeing them and having it helped me keep them in order of
Yes.
who belonged to who and who it was. And I just love it. I just love that movie. So it is one of my favorites. And so, yeah,
So
that's,
the ending was very emotional, and I
yes.
felt in the movie had a huge emotional impact
I cried
because
4 times in the movie, four
yeah,
times.
yeah,
And I
and
never,
the
yeah.
yeah, in the book, her father goes with her, so they
Mhm.
go to China, and they first in the at the ending of the book go to see all his family. So it's
Yes.
part of him reconnecting with his Chinese background, and then her meeting the sisters. And I feel as though it was almost anticlimactic. It was a very
Yes.
soft ending in the book,
Yes.
very soft ending. And I feel as though in the movie had a very emotional, Hollywood, impactful
Yeah.
ending.
Looking for them at the station and then seeing them. And then she had to tell them that the mother had died. And I don't, they, in the book, Anmei does write to them.
Right. They know. They
They
yes.
know, but at the very
Mhm.
end, like like they don't know initially, but she does in the movie. She doesn't write to him. June has to tell them,
Right.
and
Right.
that's
And in the
super
book,
emotional.
I think June is thinking of them as little girls
Babies, yeah,
and babies, and then she's shocked when she sees that they're old in her mind. They're
right,
older, but they would be
right,
at least 10 years, 15 years older than her because her
right.
mother had them when she was a child herself.
Yes,
And they looked, I thought the casting was brilliant. They looked a lot like the mom. You could tell.
really, yes. It was. It was very. I thought the casting in the whole thing was great because I do think that the girls kind of resembled the mothers,
Mhm.
the different mothers and how they were. And Selena with her mom. I mean, I just really liked the casting. The crying, I cried so hard, and I said, my mother's 90, um, and so of course I got very emotional, thinking
Mhm. And
about
you're getting it.
losing her. I know, even in the conflict times
Mhm.
of
She's still mom.
to not
She's still
have her there, like June was had so much regret, and she's like, even during the conflict, I wish my mom was here, and I kind of felt it like I'm a book in
Mhm.
between these two bookends, and if my
Mhm.
mom goes, I'm gonna fall over, not having her, and that just was really emotional for me. I mean, I'll
Mhm.
become that bookend for my daughter and her daughter, but it just is super
Yeah.
super emotional to be that bookend,
Yeah.
um, for you know, and I want her there. She's not going to be there much longer, probably. Maybe 10 years if because we say she's healthy as she can be, and so we're thinking, another 10 years, but that's not very much.
It's not much at all.
And so it really made me think about how I speak to her, how I listen to her, how I get frustrated with some of the stuff and I roll my eyes. There was a lot of eye rolling in that movie.
Mhm.
The girls would look
Mhm.
away and roll their eyes when the mom would say something Chinese-ish, and they'd roll their eyes. And I'm like, I don't want to do that to my mom. I want to be the daughter, not necessarily the obedient daughter, but at least the listening daughter,
Mhm. Yeah.
the daughter that appreciates
And
the
and tries to understand that your mother came from a different generation.
yes,
She
yes,
is a product of who she came from and
right.
trying to understand that. What to talk about a moral of this story. And I lost my mom 19 years ago.
I know. I was there.
And
Yeah.
I know. And there was a lot of closure. It was weird. I had a lot of closure that Thanksgiving she came up. And
Yeah.
then she went home and died less than a month later.
Yeah.
And I feel as though, and she was estranged, my twin sister was estranged from her, and she doesn't have the closure that I had.
Yeah.
And I feel like I was weirdly ready because I'd had that closure
Yeah.
piece. And so by the time I got home, I never saw her again. She was already in the coma and ready
Yeah.
to go.
Yeah.
And but I felt at peace. My sister has never had the closure, and there's so much regret. So I think a lot of June, I
Yes.
had that,
Yeah.
and even though it was sudden and it wasn't expected, I had that peace. And we had a difficult relationship our
Yes.
whole life. It was
Yes.
very adversarial.
Yes.
And it was very much my mother wanted me to be who she wanted me to be, not who I was.
Yeah.
And it was hard to growing up.
Yes.
And she had a very bitter life and didn't know how to handle it herself. And I just
Right.
came to so much understanding and love for her and saw her as a little child. And I saw her as the hurt 7-year-old, not the mean mother,
Yeah.
or the
Yeah.
abusive mother. And it was a
Yes.
very hard,
It is.
and
It's
it
mothers
happened
and
quick.
daughters.
Yeah, and it happened quickly. And so I raised my daughter hoping that there aren't those regrets between us. And I really wanted to be near her as she's raising her daughter and her son. And it's not going to work out. So I'm just going to have to really try and be there a lot
Yeah.
and be there emotionally. And And I think about, and this, I think we can end on this, is for my last word was my mother was the bridge playing mother.
Mm.
And she had the same four, and they were all doctors' wives, including my mother. And so it became much like your mahjong has become for your friend. They were doctors' wives. So it all became about, they all had help. We're talking in the South. So it all became who had the best help. They always had their luncheon on they took out the best china. They took out the crystal.
Yeah.
We played at it was not a card table. It was at this, very fancy table and it was all set very competitive.
Yeah.
And that was their bridge. And they talked a little bit about, they didn't talk about feelings and anything like that. They talked about where they were in their lives. They
Yeah.
only did it monthly.
My mom too. Yeah.
But it was very much a status symbol. And my mother would get frustrated because she was very much like June's mom. She was competitive too. She wanted to win. And
Yeah.
and she wanted to win on all of it. She wanted to have the best china. She wanted to serve the best food. She wanted to
Win the game.
Win the game.
Yeah.
The game.
The big game. Yeah. And my mom had the poor man's bridge, which was poor woman's bridge, which was crazy canasta. And she played between three women. The same
ones,
thing, like they would go and who's serving what, and at the end they kind of started, because my aunt passed away, and so they stopped playing then. But
are you still there? You froze up. Stacy. Well, I think I lost Stacy. Stacy. Let me get her out and in. Here we go. Remove. Uh-oh, she's gone. I lost Stacy. Let's see if she comes back. Well, it's been a little bit longer than we wanted it to be, and we had a little bit, obviously, it looks like we've had a little bit of technological challenges. So we are going to end this right now. And I just want you to know how appreciative Staci and I are that you come and listen to us weekly or bi-weekly. Look at me, not even knowing that. And I just would love it if you would like, share, or subscribe, and keep coming back. Next time in 2 weeks on the 23rd, we are going to be doing A Christmas Carol. So what I would ask that you do is go out there and watch your favorite Christmas Carol, read the book. It is so short. It is the size of a children's book. It is very short. It's a sit down and one sitting read. So join us in 2 weeks, December 23rd, when we are going to come back and talk about A Christmas Carol. Have a great rest of your day. And thank you for being here. Oh, wait. There she is. She's back. She's back.
We are live. My goodness. Okay.
I was already wrapping up. I was like, okay, well, I don't know.
To wrap up before my internet goes kaput again. So
I was like, hello.
I know. But I think we're about done. We're kind of over our time anyway.
Yeah. And I thanked everybody. Remember to like, share, subscribe.
Good.
And I did say what we were doing next, the Christmas Carol.
Christmas Carol. I am so excited about this. I'm going to start.
It is such a small book. It is a very short book. It's a sit down. It's a one sit down book. I think we can read it in one sit down.
Yes.
So come back, pick your favorite version.
Yep.
Yes. Watch your favorite version.
Man Who Invented Christmas, Scrooge. Yes. I even said the Girlfriends of Christmas Past, or
Girlfriend of Christmas Past with Matthew McConaughey.
Ghosts of Girlfriend's Past. Ghosts of Girlfriend's Past follows it. So anyway, there's just lots of fun ones to try to watch, or
watch several, and then we will be back in 2 weeks. And so now we're going to end our live stream right now.
Okay. Bye.
Okay. Bye.